Hello and welcome to episode 6 of my imperfect knitting life. This is a podcast or vlog or a space where I get to talk a little bit about my knitting and also about my spinning mill and sometimes other things that are happening in life. So I'm just going to give you a heads up now. Red's been for a walk and she is still quite excited, so she is rubbing herself all over the floor and making a noise, and I think she'll settle down and have a sleep soon, so we'll just push forward. First of all, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year. Today is New Year's Day, and I've decided to start by doing my vlog because it's been, I think, about a month now, and December was a very, very busy time for me, and I just couldn't get myself in that headspace to feel relaxed and comfortable to sit down and have a little chat about what I was up to. Lots was going on. I did plenty of babysitting for grandchildren. I was obviously doing Christmas preparations, and I did some work. I had some births, and I took on some postnatal care for women. And yes, all of that was leading up to Christmas. In that process as well, I was trying to sort some stuff out for the mill, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So first of all, I feel a little bit sheepish because, pardon the pun, but because I actually don't have a lot of knitting to show you because for a whole month, definitely. And like I said before, I can't be focused on just preparing stuff to show you. It's part of my life and not all of my life, but I do have one finished object to show you, and I've got it on. So it's another one of the Pure Joy shawls. So I'm just going to try and show you what it looks like, and I'll tell you which yarn I used. It's really hard to get the whole thing in one picture, but you can see there lots of short rows making the shaping. So I'll talk a little bit about this. First thing I've got to say is it's not for me. It goes very nicely with this dress, but it's not for me. I've made it for a friend, and she's seen it and she's looking forward to getting it back. So, Red, I think maybe she's found a fly. And she's looking forward to getting it back. It didn't actually take too long, and what I really like about it is it's quite a light yarn to work with, and so it was comfortable to do in the weather that we've got. So the lighter coloured yarn is Lichen and Lace, and it's a colourway called Shroom, and it's a 4-ply, so it's 400 yards for 100 grams. And then the solid was this CamaRose, and this colorway is Braendtkarry. I think that's the color, but anyway, I really like it. And this is actually 100% merino. It is superwash, unfortunately, but that's what I could get. So is this. So this is also merino superwash, but it is very nice against your skin. And, you know, she might want to wear it like a shawl, but in the winter, it could be super snuggly. Look, super snuggly against the cold. So as you can see now, it's summer for us, so just nice to have a little covering sometimes, isn't it? That's it upside down. So there we go. Pure Joy by Joji Locatelli, and I will link that below. Remember I made another one for my mum, and I do love it. I'm going to make another one, hopefully in a blue colorway for myself, but we'll see. This might be one of my go-to take it anywhere kind of knitting projects. The one thing I must say, and it's probably the one fault I think in the pattern, well, it's not even a fault in the pattern, but annoying thing is that one skein of most of these fingering weight yarns is short of what you actually need. So I've every single time, well, both times, had to adapt it so that I'm doing less rows, which eventually means it's not as, you know, deep as it should be, because I know I'm not going to have enough yarn, and I was left with a little slither of this. But I did buy some extra, you know, you can see I've got one whole ball left over of this one, and I thought, well, if I had anything left, I could make something for a baby out of that, because it's really nice. Hang on, I've got to let Red out because she's starting to cry a little bit. She wants to go out. Go on. I thought she'd settle, but she hasn't. So there you go. My Utivist, which I've talked about in previous episodes, I actually did get all the way up to the top of the hood, and then when I tried it on, I found the neck was super tight. So I undid it all the way back to the beginning of that neck shaping and added an extra 8 stitches on. Basically took it up to the next size, and now I've got to start again. But you know, it's Icelandic wool, so when you're sitting here on a 26-28 degree day, that's Celsius, people, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but it's actually too hot. So I would literally have to put the aircon on and just sit underneath that and knit. And I've got plenty of other things I want to do than do that. So I haven't really bothered too much. And then another little thing I did, because it's quite nice to take that to births if I need to do a bit of knitting or something, is I've been doing another one of those growing bigger. That little one. It's just such a fabulous little go-to for the grandies, and I'm starting to get ready for next winter for them. So just picking up little bits of 4-ply wool that I've got lying around and giving that a go, and I'm going to make a few of those up and let them choose. Parents can choose which ones they want, so we'll see. So sorry, that's all my knitting, everything. I mean, from now I'm basically going to talk a little bit about what I've been doing and keep you updated with the mill. So let's go for it. Actually, what I'd like to do is I got 2 fabulous presents. So last year, just when I finished work, one of my clients gave me this, and I just thought, what a sweet, thoughtful prezi that was. So, you know, just acknowledging my midwifery stuff. And look there, got my knitting with me. So that was so sweet. And the other thing was, my friend, the one that I actually made this for, bought me this for Christmas. And I've wanted a yarn bowl for such a long time. And this is a New Zealand made yarn bowl out of native wood by a guy in Otago, which is the South Island of New Zealand. His name is Paul Keener, PK Wood Turning. So he has an Instagram page, so I'll put a link for that if anybody wants to have a look at his stuff, because he makes all sorts of things, and especially for local Kiwis, you know, he makes like rolling pins and what do they call those things? Those paddles for your cocktails, ladies. But anyway, and I just thought that was just such a fabulous present, and I'm so grateful. Right, so that's all the knitting stuff done, and I would like to let you know where we're at with the mill, and that is a very big and long story, which I hope is not going to be too boring for you. So last time we spoke, we knew that the carding machine was working fine, and then I also talked about the pinning machine, which initially was the can coiler that wasn't working. So that's when it comes out of the pin drafting machine, it goes down into a bucket and it gets turned round and round and round into a big tall bucket by the can coiler. So that wasn't working, and then my friend Ian got it going, but we think there's some sort of miscommunication between the pin drafter and the can coiler, because the roving just keeps breaking as it's coming up into the can coiler. So either that's going too fast, or that's not going fast enough. What I did also notice was I just didn't feel like it was drafting the roving properly, because, you know, when I've looked at other videos, some people have been putting through 6, 8 pieces of roving or buckets of roving, and then when it comes out the other side, well, it's like one roving on the other side. So it's what it's doing in that process is it's straightening the fibers and it's stretching it. So it doesn't seem to be doing that properly, and I really can't work out why it's not doing that. And half the issue for me, or a good portion of the issue for me, is I just don't have anyone that I know in New Zealand who's got the same machine that I can ask. And I did ask Julie, and she was really just talking about changing the numbers and stuff like that. But I've played around with the numbers with 2 different people. We sat there and just tried to move the numbers around, and it isn't that. I think it's something in the settings behind it, or there's actually something going on with the actual pin drafter. Oh, that Icelandic wool has just given me a really itchy nose now, so sorry if I keep rubbing it. There's not much I can do about that at the moment, but I will try and curtail. Maybe I should just do one very hard rub. Hang on. Excuse me. All right, so this is all sounding like blah, blah, blah to you guys, but I've basically gone down to trying to completely clean the inside of the machine. I'm not even sure how to do all of that, but I have taken the pins out, and my son cleaned those in WD-40 for me. But there's 2 sets of combs. So there's a set of combs at the top, there's a set of combs at the bottom, and I've now worked out how to actually open the machine up. But I'm very nervous about taking the combs out at the bottom, because somebody told me not to take the combs out while certain parts were twisting. So I'm not sure what to do about that. So I may have to ask Julie again. But the other thing is, just fantastic for me, was I contacted a mill in America called Junction Fiber mill, and they have exactly the same setup as me from Carolina Specialty, who was a guy who put together mini commercial mills, and that's who Julie bought her mill from. And these people have a mill put together by him. Now, unfortunately, he has since then died, which is very, terrible for his family, obviously. But it means that I don't have any reference of someone to ask about how to set that up. And obviously, what's ended up being a month-long investigation for us might have been a 10-minute little problem solved for him. And Ian's an electrician, and he's had a look on the inside, and I've also had other people come and have a look at the mechanics. And again, like I say, the mill in America that I made contact with, they're actually going to talk to me in a couple of days about the machines and give me a little bit of advice. So I'm really, really excited about that. What I'm going to do is, first of all, just try and take all the machines right back to a very, very clean start and see if it's just actually that it needed a really good clean. The next thing is also around static. So we have here a humidifier which creates humidity in the air, because when you use the machines, a lot of static is created, and that does affect the fleece. And so we try and control that with humidity. But I did see that other places don't control it with humidity. They actually control it with anti-static bars. So I'm also going to have a little look into that and see if that's going to help. So there's lots of little bits and pieces that still need to be done, and I just don't want to waffle on about that, because I feel like it's probably boring for you already. But it's moving along, and I'm very, very hopeful that I'm going to get the advice that I need to get the machine working properly. Because once I've got the pinning machine sorted, we can actually go on to the spinning machine, which I said to you before was my nemesis, but I just can't wait to get on it now and just take it to the finish. And along that vein, I ended up not doing a lot of knitting in December, but I did some spinning because I wanted to see what this fleece that I had taken through the carding machine, I wanted to see how it would actually spin up. So I have done some of it, and I'm going to just show you a little bit. Let's have a look. So this is a mixture of an Arapawa sheep, and also there was a very fluffy South Suffolk, I think it's called, and this is very rustic, but I did it. I did a whole load of that. In fact, I did almost a kilo of that, and it's quite soft, so it's bouncy and soft. And then this is just the South Suffolk. I dyed that, and I really like the color. So that's a landscape dye, and it's called Flax. And when I put it through the carding machine, I mixed it with some, oh, did I mix it with some cream? Oh no, I dyed it on the South Suffolk, and I put it through just as it was dyed. That's it. It's quite a while ago since I did it, so I'm not too sure. This is actually the roving, and you can see there's little flecks of color in there that as it's gone through the carder. There's the cream. I must have mixed it with a bit of cream because I can see the cream in there. Oh well, did something. This is going to be me, a one-off of something. This is just the Arapawa, which is also dyed on the flax, but was brown to start with, and you can actually see what a difference when you've got a light base to a dark base and you use the same dye, what a difference in color it makes. But love them both. Now, the only thing with this is it's almost felted, and I haven't even knitted it up, but it's a very solid yarn. So what I did do was I started making a little hat, and I'll show it to you when I'm finished, because it's, look at that, it's very, my spinning is not very good. When I was actually doing the spinning, I thought, now I know why I wanted a mill, because it takes a long time and a lot of skill to hand spin stuff, and I thought it would be a lot more uniform if I did it on the spinning wheel. I mean, on the spinning mill. Plus, I just love sheep wool, so that's hand spun, not too bad. And this is a Corriedale, which is actually, it's a superwash Corriedale from Anna Grattan. I think it's Anna Grattan. Pretty sure it is. The Little Wool Company. And she's here in New Zealand, and she's got some really big commercial machines, and she makes some very reasonably priced and nice yarn, and also roving for people to do their own spinning. So that's nice and soft, and I think I'll make something for one of the grandchildren out of that. Laura has particularly asked me for something in a cream, so we'll see what happens with that. I've actually got so many things I want to make, and I don't, despite not working full time, I don't seem to have a lot of time to do the things that, the sitting down and knitting for hours and hours and hours, doing so many other things. So might just be a wish list in the end. One thing that did happen in December was my mum had a little bout of being completely blind, because she has, every single month she has injections into her eye for her macular degeneration, and she had a reaction to the meds and woke up and basically could see nothing. And it was a little scary, I think, for her, and a bit of a wake-up call. So she has started crocheting. Don't think she can knit still, but she's definitely got a little bit of her vision back, so I'm really happy about that for her. But for a while, it was very touch and go whether that would happen. And I don't even know that she's actually going to get back even that sort of partial vision that she had before. She said that it's literally like trying to look through a bathroom window where you can sort of see a shape, but you can't actually see any detail. So I just can't imagine what that's like. But you know, I think she's feeling like her crafty days are numbered, and was mourning that a little bit. So let's just see where that takes her. Just trying to think what else I can talk to you about. Maybe that's actually just about it. I'll put some videos up at the end because been for some walks. We had so much rain. I was trying to get wool washed, and I think it literally rained for over 2 weeks. I honestly think it's probably the wettest December that I can remember. And normally we have great weather in December, but Christmas Day is often, you know, overcast or it rains a bit. But this year was absolutely fantastic. It was the other way around. So we had rain, 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 but Christmas Day was absolutely gorgeous. And I was very lucky because I had almost all my children there. My one son lives in California, so obviously he couldn't come or didn't come, but we did have him on video while we opened presents. And so my other 4 children were here, and their partners and children, and my mum and my sister. So all together on Christmas Day, I think there was 23 of us here. And we had a really nice little get together and catch up, and then everyone dispersed off to see other family and do other things. And at the end of that, we're like, oh, just relaxed, and it was lovely to see everybody, but it was really nice to have a bit of peace and quiet afterwards as well. And yeah, I'm feeling so positive about 2023. You know, I was under a lot of pressure with the mill, and I kept thinking I had to get stuff done and get stuff done. And Roger was saying to me, you know what, you're meant to be enjoying this. You're meant to be enjoying just getting the mill ready and getting things sorted. And I was like, well, I thought I was going to be enjoying making yarn, not having to learn so much about the machines. But that has been a huge portion of what I'm doing, is learning about the machines. And on reflection, I think it's probably a good thing, because you need to understand the machines. I need to understand the machines. You know, I've talked about Junction Fiber Mill, and I'm, you know, in some ways a little bit envious, because they are a great little team together, and they've got each other to bounce things off. And they obviously went and did their training when they bought their mill, trained together. And you know, it's nice to be able to share that with someone. So I might see if I could further that. Maybe I could find somebody who wants to learn with me and be involved. You know, the people that I have around me are involved in all sorts of other things, but I'm just going to be open, see what 2023 brings. But I am learning the machines, and I'm going to get on to making some wool and yarn, and I'm going to show you that. Really, I promise. I'm going to learn the machines. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop waffling now, and I'm just going to finish this video off. But just hope you guys are going to have an amazing 2023. I'm just going to be sitting back here. I'm not making goals other than things that I want to do around my property and close to home. And the one other, you know, sort of not close to home goal I have is, I was thinking this Christmas, I'd love to go back and have a cold Christmas somewhere, because I can't even remember the last time I can remember the last time I nearly had a cold Christmas, and that was when I went to Norway with Jonathan and my sister, and that was, well, 30 years ago. So that's a long time, and I was very envious looking at pictures of people with their snow-filled Christmases. And maybe you guys were looking enviously at people in the Southern Hemisphere with their barbecue and hot Christmases. But at the end of the day, I'm very open to that. In April, I'm actually going to the States. I'm going to go and visit my son in California. And then in July, we're going to the Cook Islands, to Rarotonga with my daughter and her family. And just thinking maybe December, I could maybe think about going to Europe. We'll see. My husband's not very keen. He doesn't like going to the cold. He wants to go to warm places, but I am very open to doing that. It's not for the cold, it's for that whole experience of, you know, Northern Hemisphere, midwinter celebrations. So let's watch the space. Anyway, at the end of the day, I hope you have a great new year, and I will be in touch whenever I can get the next one ready. I'm not even going to give you a date now because I'm pretty useless at sticking to it. Thank you for being patient with me, and yeah, goodbye. Look at this, filthy, filthy, filthy.